excellent condition. Hello everybody, Blue Dooley, and we are in ATS. And I'll just finish setting stuff up here. There we go. And it looks like the stream is in excellent condition. Hope everyone's having a good weekend. I went to the 10th annual Southern Idaho Truck Show, which is over at the fairgrounds just outside Filer, Idaho. Hopefully you watched the video already that I posted this morning. There was a lot more trucks this year than last year. I am a little disappointed that the variety of trucks was fairly limited, as is pretty much primarily Peterbilt's, Kenworths, with a few Freightliners sprinkled in. Only one Ford LTL 9000 and not a single Mack in sight, and only one International. And it was kind of a newer one, so we're gonna jump in. I got a Volvo haul truck on the back. We'll finish that one up, and then we'll see where else we can go. I've kind of been working here recently on kind of filling in the map. Go here to the map. You can see it got 62% explored. So I've been trying to run along all these little gray stretches. Is what I've been trying to fill in. Pretty much got most of Wyoming, and I think I have all of Idaho finished up. So I've just been doing some longer runs just to try to fill in these little gaps. I still got most of California to go. But we're down here in Texas right now, so we're almost to the next stop. Let's go ahead and, before I get too much further, I should probably turn the sound off my phone. Go ahead and leave me a comment how your weekend's going. Let's see here. Turn you down and shoot out a quick text real fast. There we go. That's the other thing I had to do this weekend, was get a new phone, because my Kyocera was acting up, and it was actually like sometimes my camera wouldn't even take a picture when I click on taking a photo. So I guess it was time to replace it. I'm not really happy about it because they're not exactly cheap. So we got the Volvo behind the Superliner. I forget what engine I have in it. I have a Z-Mod sound pack in here. So this has a 800 horsepower Cummins. I forget the exact model. Oops, if you turn on the right turn signal. But it sounds really good, especially the Jake brake. We'll get up here and you'll hear it, of course. But if you also follow me on Instagram, I posted a few photos from the truck show, and there was one really nice Ford LTL 9000, basically in a C in Peterbilt's and Kenworth's. So that big old wide grill on them LTL 9000s definitely stood out from the crowd. Since of course Peterbilt's and Kenworth's have a lot narrower grill. But I was really kind of disappointed there wasn't a single Mack in attendance to the truck show. As they're my favorite kind of truck. The Superliner being my favorite Mack. That jake brake. That'll wake you up. In fact, I need to turn my headphones down because it's really quite loud. My wife and my mom actually came with me to the truck show. Come on, UPS. Get out of the way. And they had the wrong turn signal on. A friend of mine had his Peterbilt out at the truck show. I hadn't seen him for a while, so it was good to catch up to Brennan. And I hadn't seen any posts when I posted the link to this video from him, so I don't know if he won any awards or anything from the silent auction. But I'd heard that dinner they had put on the Friday night for the people who showed up. That's mid-level jake brake. And low. Oh, that's a cool statue. I think I have a graphics mod conflict. Because some of those statues and landmarks aren't rendering correctly. So I'm going to have to go through and see which ones maybe causing an issue. There's some horsies. Of course, we are in Texas, so it'd be kind of strange not to see a horse. And that's... well, that's kind of new. The arrow shows it on the map right there, but I'm not seeing it. Maybe we'll get turned around and hope we can find where it's supposed to be. Yeah, that's really strange. I've never had the game do this before, just give you an empty spot. Well, that's huh. That's a bit of a bummer. I guess we're gonna have to cancel this one. Another question is, how do you cancel it? 'Cause yeah, there's nothing there. Well, it's a good thing I got $47 million. Yeah, that's really strange. I haven't had the game do that to me. Let's see here. We'll do one more quick thing here. That's that. Yeah, that was interesting. I haven't seen that before. As yeah, the game's actually usually pretty stable. So if you're wondering what kind of phone I got a Samsung. Alright, let's find, I guess we'll find us a new job. We're not really anywhere, so how about this? We'll fast travel over to Wichita Falls and we'll find something once we get there. New Volvo. But definitely want to next year when I find out. I need to keep an eye on their Facebook page for the truck show. And as soon as they post a date, I think I'm going to start harassing the boss and see if he'll let me take the work truck over to the truck show. Oops, I don't want that. Got a little bit of tire wear. You know, be good advertising. Alright, now let's find us a load. But I'd say there were probably a good 20 or 30 more rigs at the show than there was last year when James and I went. Let's see, we can do massive tech part or tank. Let's see here. We go to Austin. We run up to Cheyenne. Dallas. Flagstaff, that's where we just came. Fort Stockton actually runs across the stretch of road we haven't been on, so yeah, let's go ahead and do the beet harvester. That should be alright. I do like Z-Mod's engine sounds. But God, I don't think we need the Jakes on when we're empty. Got an interesting week coming up because, of course, 4th of July is on a Tuesday. Which means I got to work Monday, and then I get Tuesday off, and then I got to go back work Wednesday. And I'm just not a fan of having holidays off like that anymore. I'd rather just work it. The fireworks are late at night, or usually launched when everybody's already off from work anyways.
Let me out, I'm stuck in your pocket.
And apparently I didn't turn down the volume right on my phone. But I'm just not kind of into most holidays anymore. Like when I was little, 4th of July was cool. Then, you know, you grow up, you go to work. Work requires you get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And suddenly, fireworks aren't so cool anymore. They kind of lose something when you have to get up early in the morning, I think. Come on, Subaru. Speed up a little more. Yeah. Southern Idaho Truck Show, if you're out in Twin Falls when it's happening, if you're not entering a truck, you can just go to the fairgrounds, park somewhere, and check out all the trucks. You know, there's no entry fee. They usually have someone cooking lunch, like hamburgers or something. There were a couple of vendors. The 208 Chrome Shop had a booth set up. Guess it didn't need to slow down that much or that fast. But entry fee, I think Brendan said it was $75 to enter a truck, and that actually got you a truck wash. They brought a mobile wash station out. There's also a guy polishing up all your aluminum for you too. So, I mean, $75 for an entry fee that includes getting the truck washed. I mean, doesn't sound too bad to me, especially considering it's a semi truck, and a lot of those guys had trailers attached. And the last time I went to the Blue Beacon, it was more than $75 to get the truck washed. So all in all, I think it's a pretty good event. And it is local, so it's not too far for me to run over to the fairgrounds with the camera and do some filming. I decided this truck needed more lights on the bumper. That's probably a little hard. But I got the beacons on the truck, and yeah, lots of lights. You can never have too many lights, I think. The other interesting thing about this next week and the week after is the new guy is actually going to be off for 2 weeks, as he had some vacation already planned out way in advance before he started. Going up to Alaska. So, it'll be a little short-handed, and of course, they decided to schedule a bunch of long runs on the same day. I think Friday I'm supposed to go to Idaho Falls with 7 loads. Maybe 5. 5 loads with 1 truck up to Idaho Falls. That's going to be a neat trick. The other driver is back. He's on light duty, so I don't know if he's going to be up for driving a manual transmission truck, but if he could run or load or 2 in that little Kenworth, which is an automatic, and then just have somebody ride with him to do the straps and stuff, that'd help out quite a bit. I'm drinking Coke because the store's been out of RC Cola for better part of a month now, and that makes me sad. So work has picked up. We're pretty steady now, and steady's good. And I suppose we're probably going to be stuck here at this stop sign for a while. I think that's the only problem with traffic mods, is it adds so much traffic that the AI doesn't know what to do anymore. So we might just say screw it and just kind of drive in the grass here. So we're not just sitting in a stop sign for the entire live stream. We'll just force our way out here. It's alright. It's not very entertaining just sitting at a stop sign. And I did finally figure out how to do green screen on my camera. The problem is I don't have a screen to put behind me to make it work. So I think the wife and I will come up with a plan on how to do that, so that way you don't just see the office behind me anymore. You'll just see me and then the video game, which would probably be better. That's a heck of a load. Of course, I also haven't gotten used to the sound, so I'm not sure if maybe I'm shifting it right. I could jump in the cab. Yeah, we're at 1500 RPM, so I still think this is just an excellent mod. His Dialing Woo Superliner. And the only reason I really decided to run the engine mod sound pack in this truck was the mod author kept the truck a little more tame in the horsepower. So you can't get, I think 400, maybe 450, 475 is the biggest engine he has in the mod. And you know, the aftermarket's a thing, so 800 horsepower for, you know, want to say it's an N14. Excuse me. So that's not much of a stretch for an M14 to be tuned up that high. As there are, you know, if you watch any of them loaded truck drags they do up in Minnesota or Quebec, you know, them guys, what are you doing here, buddy? 1,000, 2,000 horsepower and about a squazillion foot-pounds of torque. Because you figure the 12.8 liter in my truck is 445 horsepower and 1,700 foot-pounds of torque. So you double the horsepower and you're going to almost more than double the torque output on that engine. So to me, 800 horsepower, that's, you know, not a ridiculous amount of horsepower, but enough that it makes moving freight a little quicker down the road. And, you know, stock's no fun. At least I don't think stock is any fun. And I was running that Ford LTL 9000 mod that you'll have to watch the other live stream because I linked all that stuff to that. But it wasn't quite as polished and finished as I thought it would be for as long as it had been out. And when you're driving down the road in the sunshine and the cab isn't casting a shadow, that's a little silly. So I switched back to the Superliner. Should have upshifted a while ago, but 70 mile an hour, probably a decent speed. This is kind of an interesting interchange. But I am glad that the other driver is back even on light duty, as Friday we had to go up to Ketchum with a fairly big house, about 180 trusses, and some of them were a little over 13 feet tall. And the traffic going up Friday was just some of the worst traffic I've seen. And there were probably, I better take up both lanes, just so, because this thing's so long. The traffic was so bad, and we got stuck behind someone only doing about 50, 55 in the 65 zone. And there was so much traffic, there was no way I was getting around them. But I was 5 or 6 cars back, pilot car between me and him, or them, and people'd come out from 3 cars behind me, just trying to pass, 10 friggin' vehicles at one time. And I'd say conservatively there were nearly 5 head-on collisions, because they were just in such a goddamn hurry to get around me. They just didn't care. I was staying far enough back from the vehicle in front of me so that somebody could come over in front of me if they needed to, because they were being impatient, and then, someone was coming the other way. But yeah, traffic that day was just miserable. It wouldn't be so bad if it was like only 1 car passing me, but twice there were 3 cars in a row. All 3 cars bumper to bumper in the left lane trying to get around, 2 semi trucks and 7 other vehicles. Just absolutely ridiculous. And for what? We caught up to one of the guys at a stoplight up in Ketchum. So he saved what? 2 minutes maybe, if that. Like, I understand people are in a hurry, but if you're in such a hurry and you get in an accident, you're not going to get there in the first place. So that kind of negates being in the hurry. It's just me. Maybe leave a little sooner. I mean, if you live here or anywhere with a lot of tourists, you know that certain times of the year there's going to be a lot of tourists around. Maybe you should leave your house a little sooner and, kind of account for that. Which I'm sure most people would say is utterly ridiculous. But arriving alive is probably better than not arriving and being dead. I mean, that's just my opinion. I'd rather be 5-10 minutes late than not at all. However, circling back to the truck show, it was really kind of a nice mix, because there were, trucks that were loaded and had just pulled in for the show. And there were a few trucks that aren't for hire anymore, and they probably just pull a camper behind them and just go to truck shows. And there were a few 50s and 60s era trucks, and a couple of them, they'd been used their entire life and were still being used. So there were chips and pits in the paint, and the chrome, and the paint was faded. The signage or their lettering on the truck was faded. So you could definitely tell they had not been babied their entire life. There was Needle Nose Pete that I don't think it's a work truck anymore, but he had that black paint just shined up as much as he could, and it was a sharp looking truck. Caterpillar power plant. I didn't ask him out what transmission he was running or anything like that. But he actually boxed in a section of the frame. He was using it as a cooler. Because he had just flat sheet metal covering the frame rails between the cab and the fifth wheel, and had a little section propped open that was full of ice and had all his drinks and stuff in it, which was kind of neat. I didn't go over and count how many trucks Gary Ameth had out at the show this time, but he probably had a dozen at least. And I think he actually kind of sponsors part of the show, as one of his trucks was parked over in a different part of the area, and they'd actually set it up as a stage, as a curtain side flatbed. So they just opened up one side for the musicians to play at. And it was actually going to be hot enough this weekend. We went and got breakfast, went out to the show, wandered around, and called it a day about 11:15, and the band didn't actually get on stage until 11, so I don't know who was playing. But it was a lot better turnout at that show than the antique show I posted a video of a couple weeks ago. And I think part of that one, the low turnout on that one was because the weekend prior to that, there was a big truck show in Reno. So I'd imagine probably more people went to that and then either headed back home, or a lot of them antique trucks still work, so they might have had to just get back on the road and head to their next pickup or drop off. And RC content I know has been a little lacking lately. Kind of got a little frustrated with something, so I just kind of paused on that and working on some other stuff. I'll get back to it. But sometimes you work on stuff for so long and you kind of get tired of working on it. So you kind of want to work on something else. There's a lot of truck dealers down here in Texas I haven't discovered yet. I haven't been keeping up too much on the game itself. I know they're pretty close to getting Oklahoma released. I've seen a few notes on that. So that'll be interesting to see what they put in Oklahoma. It's been a long time since I've been through Oklahoma myself. But also with their, even though they're releasing new states, they're actually going back through and reworking previous DLCs and things. So I think the game still has quite a bit of life left in it. I don't know if we'll ever see all the lower 48 states before they maybe switch to a different engine or come out with ATS 2. That's red. The only problem with driving outside the cab is sometimes you don't see the traffic lights when you're going underneath the bridge because of the way the camera works. But I still recommend the game. If you enjoy trucks and you enjoy driving sims, you know, they're still working on the game consistently and constantly trying to add things or improve things to it. Even when I first got the game a couple years ago, they didn't actually have it so you could adjust your air suspension to get underneath a trailer. Like, the game now simulates you can adjust your pressure in your airbags to raise and lower the truck, which you could not do when I first started playing the game. That adds a little bit to it, and I think the latest update, they've actually got the whole map, so the road imperfections actually affect the truck now, and you can actually visually see the load rocking or the trailer kind of swaying as you're going down the road. So I'd imagine if you had a motion platform, that probably would add quite a bit of realism to the game. I did figure out how to get the console enabled in the game, so I could actually just cheat and switch the time, but I don't remember where I wrote that down on how to do it. So we'll just drive in the dark. Which, with all the 4 off-road lights, you get a lot of light with this truck. Everything seems to be still looking good on stream analytics and whatnot. But yeah, traffic Friday was just miserable getting up there. And in those kind of situations, it's actually worse because you're not the one holding traffic up, but because of the way the road is going up there, people can't see you around you far enough to realize you're not the problem. So they pull out to pass me, get part way around me, and then realize there's, a FedEx van and another pickup truck towing a camper between me and the pilot car. And then there's 4 more vehicles or 5 more vehicles in front of the pilot car. And they either do it the smart way and pass me, and then pass the next guy and pass the next guy, or they just pull out and stay out in that left lane for miles. I think one of those cars pulled out 2 behind me and then passed me and like I said, 4 or 5 vehicles in front of me. So they were out in that left lane for probably almost 2 miles or better, I'd imagine. And it wasn't flat, and it wasn't straight, so they were just kind of blindly out there in the left lane. Of course, those are the situations that people who don't drive truck don't see. So, I mean, I haven't actually looked, but I'd wager for any dash cam footage you see of a semi-truck doing something stupid, you can probably find 30 or 40 vehicles being stupid in front of a semi-truck in dash cam video clips. I actually need to download the clips I saved from Friday to the PC so I can make some shorts or some or a longer length video out of it. But yeah, you figure, you know, somebody posts a clip of a truck doing something dumb, and I got probably a minute and a half of 7 people in vehicles being dumb. And man, if you do a lot of driving for work, or you drive truck, or DoorDash, Uber, anything where you're making money driving, you got to run a dash cam. It'll absolutely save your ass if something happens. And that's the thing about it. If you get in an accident, I mean, even expensive dash cam is cheaper than replacing a quarter panel or a bumper on most modern vehicles. So it really only has to save you once to pay for itself. So I don't think that'll be my main upload for next weekend, is just the dash cam stuff. I'll do need to get working on that, finishing up the grand hauler and get working on that trailer. So that'll probably be next weekend's main upload. We'll be working on the RC trucks again. And it's actually taken so long for it to be hot here. I still haven't finished charging my AC in my pickup truck from all the work I did to it over winter and last year. Come on, Amy, let's get out of the way. Probably won't do a video on charging the AC because there's plenty of other videos out there on it, and I ain't going to tell anybody anything different than anything else that's been posted. It's also not terribly exciting. Just standing there with a gauge and a can. But I also need to get my air compressor hooked back up in the truck. So I will probably video that, because I need to make a mount for it and do a little body trimming underneath the hood because of where I want to put it. So I will film that. I'll film getting that compressor installed and then kind of going over. Yeah, that light red. Good. 3 o'clock in the morning in game. We'll be alright. But oh well. I'll explain why I put the air compressor where I put it, and how I ran all the hoses. Show you where I have the air tank mounted. So that video will probably be 2, maybe 3 weeks out. Just kind of depends on what comes up. Past the subway. We'll see if I actually swung this wide enough to make this. Hey, we're at least got it out of the road, I suppose. It is one of the annoying things about the game is they always put that little check-in bracket so close to the road you don't actually get out of the road. The question is, are we going to get this swung over enough so it'll count? Probably not. He likes that, so we'll take it. Set the brakes. $400 miles, took 8 hours, 21 minutes, and we used 54 gallons of fuel. We did get the long distance delivery bonus, the high value cargo bonus, and the urgent delivery bonus. So, yeah, 35,000. Since I like hauling equipment, let's see what they got here. Well, we could go back to Laredo, or down to Laredo. Laramie is a little bit of a drive. Plows. That's an interesting way up there. So, alright, let's close that and we'll find us something else. Actually, let's go world map here. Let's see here, we could go to Carlsbad or El Paso. That'd get us a bunch of new road. Or maybe Dallas, we could cut across this way. So yeah, let's see if we can find something to Dallas. Abilene. Corpus Christi. Junction. Of course, Dallas wasn't anywhere on that list. Tyler, maybe? New Mexico, here we go. We could do Waco and actually take 67 up and over. I guess we'll do that one. If it's still there. Excuse me. I did finally get a adapter for my wife got me some wireless microphones, and to plug them into the GoPro you need a special cable. So I finally got that special cable, so I'll probably what are you doing? Why are you stopping? Finally got the special cable so I can plug those into the GoPro, and I'll give them a try, and I'm hoping they'll let me do vlogs from work a little better, because I can set the GoPro on the dash and then have the microphone clipped to my shirt, so I don't have to talk so loud to be heard over the truck. as I know from some of my other videos, even trying to kill the background noise with my editing software just doesn't always work. So it'd be nice if those microphones work out really well. It also make me more comfortable talking to people at truck and car shows. If I had an actual microphone, I could like hand them or hold up to pick up their voice a little better. Which is kind of why I don't, at vehicle shows, I haven't talked to anybody about their vehicles. There's usually just enough breeze that the camera picks up only wind noise, so you wouldn't really hear them. And I don't want to like jam it up in their face. It seems kind of rude. So I got to give those a try. Might actually try them while working out in the garage, because then I could just stick the GoPro someplace. And then even if I'm behind the camera, what in the world? No, just construction. Yeah, we had a red light, whatever. It's outlaw trucking. 4 o'clock in the morning, breaking all the laws. But then I'll know how good the sound quality is if I'm behind the camera doing something. If it's still a good sound. So I'll probably use them several times, and then I might actually do a review on the microphones themselves. Just kind of depends on how things go. I blew that, didn't I? So, I do have fairly reasonable, I think, list of things that'll coming up to do on the channel. Got some more work to do on the pickup truck besides just getting the air compressor reinstalled. I'd really like to quit spending money on the house and get some money saved, so maybe I can get the truck wrapped. That'd be really awesome, I think. Need some body work before I wrap it, because there's 2 little spots of rust, and then the paint's just kind of, well, it's a 98, so the paint's kind of crap. But you know, primer where it needs primer, and then smooth everything out, and then I can pull the lights, the mirrors, the rear fenders off, the trim, and do a really good job wrapping it. Then put all that stuff back on. But shoot, the last time I priced wrap, I think it was still going to be $3 or $4 grand. But that was having somebody else do it. I might actually try doing it my damn self. And if I had James or somebody come over and help me with it, it'd be quite the transformation, because that right now is the biggest gripe I have about the truck, is the paint just looks terrible. If I could get the paint looking nice again, or the body looking nice again, that'd really go a long way in making that truck look a lot better. Probably don't actually need turn signal out here in the middle of nowhere, but whatever. Five o'clock in the morning. Yeah, nobody cares. And they haven't picked a date yet, but I know a few of the Eastern Idaho guys are still wanting to do a dig days later in the year, so I really do need to get that trailer and that truck finished, so when they do decide to have it, everything's working. That's a lot of tires. Actually surprised they didn't put down the lift axle on the truck. Maybe we'll drop it down just because we can. I'd also like to maybe make it to a test and tube night over to Boise at the and run it on, I don't know if it's an 1/8 mile or a 1/4 mile over there, but just to see how the truck does. Fat thumb. I am playing on an Xbox controller. Since I drive truck in real life, I don't feel the need for a full sim setup at the house. So I'm perfectly content to play the game with a controller. Controller does most of the functions, and then like lights and lift axle and changing the GPS screen and whatnot, that's all done on the keyboard. My wipers are on the controller. You know what? Screw it. We're not sitting at a red light. We'll quit, stop, and just go. Oh, the Jake brakes actually drowned out the air horns on this truck. I tell you that it's unreal how spooky realistic the AI is in this game, because pretty much every dumb thing you've seen the AI do in this game, if you watch other streamers or you play it yourself, I've seen people do in real life. They don't know how to merge. They block intersections. All things people do in real life. If anybody from SCS ever watches one of my streams, I tell you what, all you need to do is have somebody occasionally pass you on the shoulder and some speeding. That's the one AI thing the game doesn't have, is people driving 5, 10, 15 mile an hour over the speed limit. You add that to the game, you bring that realism up just another notch. Yeah, Or in heavy traffic, somebody cutting in and out of lanes. That'd be realistic. I mean, people already kind of slow down way too much for construction zones in the game. Rubberneck, so that's realistic. Yeah. If somebody's barely passing me in the left lane, have someone blow past me on the shoulder. Seen it in real life. That just, like I said, that'd just take that realism up to the next level. That'd be getting to Grand Theft Auto territory worth of artificial intelligence, because boy, the AI in that game, it's kind of spooky how dumb they are too, and how accurately stupid they are. I think that's really the final frontier in artificial intelligence. It's easy to make a machine smart, but can you make it stupid like a person? That's the challenge. Artificial stupidity. I did have a short talking about AI trucks, and apparently it got enough views that Instagram thought I'd sold was using a third-party company to get more likes to my stuff. So they kind of temporarily banned or suspended my account. I did get it back, but I deleted that video because I was like, well, it's the only thing I've posted that did really good. So, haven't had any problems since deleting it. So I guess that was the problem, is I had too much interaction, so they thought I was cheating. Which I thought they would want you to have lots of interaction with your posts, because the more interaction you have with your posts, the more interaction the site has, which makes more revenue for them. But apparently you can only have a lot of interaction if you already have a lot of followers. I don't know. It was ridiculous. It's fixed. I will word things more carefully in the future, I guess. And I know most of my streams are usually kind of around 11 o'clock in the morning, or early afternoon, whatever you want to call it. But I thought I'd try after dinner and see if that gets a little more interest, or a little more viewership. As I think live streams are, especially when you don't have like a huge viewership, it's an easier way to interact with people who subscribe to you. Because, like people with hundreds of thousands or millions of subscribers, their comments would be flying by so fast they'd just barely catch a few. Whereas since I don't have hundreds of thousands or even 1,000 yet, somebody posts something, it's easier for me to keep up with it. Although in the past somebody has posted something, and since I hardly ever get any chats anyways, it might take me a few minutes before I remember to look at the screen and see if anybody did type anything. Oh well. I enjoy doing it, and if people enjoy watching it, that's kind of all that matters at the end of the day. Can't force you to leave a comment or send a message, but that's kind of why I live stream, is so people can talk to me, ask questions about work or RC stuff or gaming, which I'm probably not a good person to ask about gaming computer setups and things like that, because I know what I have works. I don't know if it's the best or ideal setup for it. But it runs ATS just fine. And I did recently just get Beam NG. So I've been playing around with that for a little bit. Problem with that is I really don't have anybody to play with that game with. Kind of like Wreckfest. If I had one or two friends that could play Wreckfest with me, that'd be a little more entertaining than me just swearing at AI. Although I suppose swearing at AI could be entertaining too, depending on who you are. Yeah, cruise controls on my keyboard. Turn signals, high beams, horn, are all on the controller. Steering, camera, throttle, brakes. I do have a rain mod, well, a weather mod. See, like, they're not even doing the speed limit anymore. Oop, that didn't work. Yeah, we stayed upright. That's what mods are for. Like, no damage to the truck because I went off-road and hit another truck. And sometimes, you know, it'd be nice to give people a love tap on the bumper in real life. Despite how frowned upon that would be in real life. As I can tell you from personal experience, for example, if you bump a cow with the bumper of a truck, the cow will get out of the way. If you bump a person with the bumper of a truck, they stand there and look at you indignantly. So the fact that the cow's smart enough to get out of the truck's way, and people aren't, kind of says a lot about our species sometimes. As I have been unfortunate enough to work with people who are a lot smarter than me. And it isn't always as pleasant as you think it should be. Myself and a former boss had a very lengthy discussion with a professor of engineering, of structural engineering. And for some reason he couldn't understand why we could not cut a 12-foot tall, 40-foot long hole in a load-bearing wall. An exterior concrete load-bearing wall. And he could also not understand that why the crane, which says it's rated for 14 tons, couldn't actually lift what he wanted lifted out of the building when the crane would have been at maximum extension and at a fairly shallow angle. And I would think if you teach people how to build buildings, you would understand that the crane's maximum lifting capacity is with the boom sucked in short and the object as close to the truck or the crane as you can get it. But that is not the case with all really smart people. And I'm also kind of the opinion that you should punch upwards, not downwards. Oops. I know you're probably paid by the hour, but in this game I'm paid by the job, and I want to get jobs done. The other thing I thought was kind of funny, and a few people didn't understand when it comes to self-driving vehicles, is they've been working on self-driving vehicles probably since the computer was invented. Somebody's like, I wonder if I can get a computer to drive a vehicle. And the first time I saw anything about a self-driving vehicle was when Discovery or the History Channel ran a thing on a DARPA competition, which was for self-driving vehicles. And that was back in 2004. So we're basically, well, in another year, we'll be 20 years from that episode. And 18 or 19 years from that first time I actually saw anything on a self-driving vehicle, we're still pretty much in the testing phase. But things like Midjourney and ChatGTP have in months gone from being a ridiculous curiosity to actually being really, really advanced in months. I don't think it was Midjourney, but one of the other AI art programs, actually someone created a piece, an artwork, and fooled a bunch of art critics and won a prestigious award with AI generated art. Which I don't think anybody had planned on computers doing art and poetry and story writing and things like that. I think everybody thought AI would do tasks nobody wanted to do and leave the art and the poetry and things like that to people. So, because I have kind of an odd sense of humor, I think it's funnier that all the people who said computers would take my job first are actually going to lose their jobs first. I don't know, I thought it was funny. And I do know that self-driving vehicles have come a long way, and it's considering how much you have to do to drive that you don't even think about anymore. The fact that they can succeed in traffic at all it's a hell of an accomplishment. I mean, it's not something we should, just disregard entirely. But at the same time, it's also one of those things where it still only really works under optimum conditions, which aren't a thing in the real world. I mean, sure, southern Texas, southern New Mexico, Arizona, southern California, where the weather's pretty much always nice, There's no snow. And since they don't get frost heaves like the north, there's, I won't say significant less road construction, but there is less road construction. Then yeah, those systems have a lot better chance of working down there. Now, if you can come up with a truck that'll run through, Montana or Wyoming, North and South Dakota in January, where the road's packed, snow packed, the wind's blowing 50, 60 mile an hour out of, a side wind. If you can get an AI to do that, then I would actually say, yeah, computers probably will take over my job. Because if you've ever driven in Wyoming in the wintertime, or Montana, or the Dakotas, or Minnesota, where hurricane force winds in a blizzard aren't entirely uncommon. You realize it does take a lot of concentration and a lot of experience to do that safely. And the speed limit 75, and we're not doing that. I'm still debating on if I might live stream Armored Core 6 when it comes out. As while it is a third-person shooter, it's also a mech game, so technically it still kind of falls under the operating a machine. Like I could do flight sim. But I've never really been a big flight sim person. My best friend back in high school had Jane's, one of Jane's flight sims. And I think it was all primarily Air Force stuff. F-16s and stealth fighters and that kind of stuff. And that was kind of fun. But he also had, not a super high-end joystick, but he had a nicer joystick and a throttle quadrant. So that kind of made a big difference to how the game played. A flight sim with the proper stick and controls is a little easier to get behind than just playing it on a controller, I think. I'm sure there are people who kick all the ass at a flight sim with a controller. There. Get off here. I guess I might as well just stay here in the left lane. There's a lot of Waco I haven't driven around a lot. Yeah, you wouldn't have an overpass like this in Wyoming because the wind would just, it'd blow a D10 dozer off an overpass like that in the winter. That's pretty much a southern thing. The thing I'd really like to see SCS do with American Truck Sim is add some of the older model trucks to the game. I know that because of licensing and stuff, the manufacturers kind of want the new stuff in the game and highlighted. I mean, they have the Mac Anthem, but I would wager a lot more people would probably want to drive an R model or the Superliner. You know, the Peterbilts, everybody wants the older Peterbilts. Same with the Kenworths. You know, the 9900 or the 9300 International isn't a brand new truck, but I mean, the W900's cool and the W990's cool, but there's a lot of T800s out there, T880s. The T880 is in the game, but not the 800. So, I mean, an in-game T800 would be cool. What was it? It's a mod truck. You can get the Kenworth 100, the cab over. That was in BJ and the Bear. It was a 359, 351 Peterbilt in the movie Duel. If I could have the dual truck in this game, I'd motor the crap out of that truck. And I know Chevy hasn't made them for quite some time, but the Chevy or the GMC General, which was a Knight Rider, that'd be cool. I think SCS could do some throw some older model trucks in there that are really famous. I mean, Snowman drove a W900, just not the year that's in the game. So an older W900, I'm sure people would absolutely love. There's just a lot of trucks that they could really put in the game that would really bolster the traffic and things like that. New Road. It's an interesting name for a road. I did lose interest in the rally expansion for Forza Horizon pretty quick. Which seems kind of weird because ATS is the same thing, whereas Horizon's a bit more varied, you know, the vehicle classes and stages and whatnot, but I don't know, just it didn't hold my interest for very long. It's also a lot harder for me to race and talk than it is to just drive down the road and talk. Best Western. We're going to go ahead and once we get this one delivered, we'll call it a stream, since you got to get up and work in the morning, and that gives me time to check email and some other sites. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, towards the front of the video, Brennan, who had his truck at the truck show, I know him from back when forums were a thing, pre Facebook and MySpace even. And I kind of wish forums would come back. Because, yeah, you can join a Facebook group and ask a question, but eventually the group gets tired of answering the same question 900 times. Whereas on a forum, you could just search it, and it would bring up all the threads related to what you were asking about. Facebook doesn't have that kind of search. Neither does Twitter or Instagram. And I've joined a few Discord servers, but they also don't have a search function. So you kind of get new people asking the same question over and over and over again. And people kind of get tired of answering that question. Also, the nice thing about, at least to me, forums were nicer because someone could start a thread and then just continually posting to that thread about whatever they were working on. Now, there is one for RC cars for Scale Builders Guild, which I won't say is, a super busy forum, but it's still active enough that people can post photos of their build, because not everybody has a YouTube channel or an Instagram. So you can actually click on their thread and follow it. So anytime it updates, you'll get a notification when you log into the site that thread had been updated, and you can go check it out. Yeah, see the trailer really rocking here. It's interesting that there's a gate there, but it almost looks like there's a road that can go through. Let's bump this gate and see if you can drive through it. Or if it's just a weird map thing. Nope, invisible wall. Just a weird map thing. Yes, I got my Wyoming DLC Triceratops riding shotgun with me today. I think that's kind of what makes ATS appealing, is that they're steadily working on adding states to the game, so you always have another state to look forward to. Okay, it's over. I guess a lower gear would be beneficial, huh? And yeah, I know it's cheating to back up from outside the truck, but it's a game. Might as well use everything in the game lets you do. Besides, if it was real life, if you weren't sure, you'd set your park brake and get out of the truck and look. Forgot to raise that before I backed up. Truck just looks so good. That was a little louder than I was expecting it to be. Yeah, we're kind of on the line there, but and more ambient sounds. That was the other thing that they added. I knew there was something else. There we go. 526 miles, 10 hours, 26 minutes, 71 gallons of fuel, and we made 34,000 bucks. Let's go here to driver manager. Let's see here. Rating dollars, money per day, 51,000 per day. Boy, if only. Let's see here. I forget where it was. Career. That's what I wanted. So because I kind of focused more on heavy hauling initially, and now I'm just kind of running with whatever I can find to kind of get the map explored better. So far, I've hauled 11,471,000 pounds, done 217 deliveries, 70 of 99 companies, only 256 depots, and apparently the most common delivery now is scraper. Had been a bulldozer. Other accomplishments: on time, undamaged, special transports 13. That also really kind of ups your weight rating quite a bit. 62% of the map explored. And again, as you can see, traffic offense is disabled. That's why I have no penalties, because I drive the game for fun, not 100% realism. Have 18 trucks, and most used truck is the Mack Anthem. I've driven 100,000 miles in game. On duty would be 86,000. Got 12 drivers, 11 trailers, and yeah, I spent 160 hours in real life playing this game. Level 100 is Divine Champion. Wheels, scraper, bee harvester. I don't see scrapers up. Maybe I did lots of scrapers before. I don't know. Doesn't matter. But that's going to do it for this stream. If you haven't checked out my video from the truck show, go ahead and do that. I don't do any talking in that, except for the little bit of intro. Otherwise, it's just video of trucks. So, as always, hope everyone had a good weekend. Be sure to subscribe so you can see more content like this or any of the other random stuff I post. And be sure to hit like, because that helps the channel out. We'll catch you later. Got an alt tab over there.